everybody, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday call. On today's call, you not only have me as the host and the interviewer, you have Mr. Sean Herrera. Sean, welcome to the call.
Thank you, sir.
So exciting times. Sean and I are here at the Mastermind event in Las Vegas, and I thought, hey, we're bringing in a guest from outside the mortgage industry. Bryan, welcome to the call. I'll let you say your last name out loud so I don't say it wrong.
It looks worse than it is. It's Kreuzberger.
Love it. Yeah, and it is. It does sound more difficult. Kreuzberger. We'll get that down. But welcome to the call, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here with everybody. Good.
So folks, couple of house-cleaning things first. You know, as I said, we're here at Mastermind. Would love to meet with every mortgage coach while I'm here at Mastermind. So if you see me walking through the halls, stop me, high-five me. You know, tell me what you love about Mortgage Coach, or tell me what you'd like to see different about Mortgage Coach. Looking forward to seeing hundreds of friends and clients here over the next couple of days. So see many of you soon. I do want to remind everybody, last week's call with Monique and Robert Ring was awesome. Monique, you know, as a realtor, explained her strategy, her niche, how she's doing open houses. Her and Robert are just crushing it with the number of leads that they're pulling out of open houses. So if you're a mortgage professional and you're partnering with realtors to do open houses, to bring people into those houses, and then to, you know, convert them into customers, awesome call. Sean, I don't know if you had a chance to watch that call or not yet.
I haven't heard that one yet.
So
I know Robert really well.
We'll need to get you on it.
Okay.
So also want to remind everybody the USA Today article on the Mortgage Coach app is continuing to trend. I want to thank everybody out there who's sharing it on social. We've got a number of clients that are saying, hey, I'm using this app. It's the #1 app for home buyers when it comes to getting a mortgage. Brag about it. You know, come up with creative ways to tell the market what you're doing and how you're doing it. So if you have any ideas for us, we want to make the most of this. We believe that every time a family gets into mortgage debt, they deserve a total cost analysis. It's the way to make the best decision. So let's get the word out. And again, we also appreciate any reviews in the App Store. So if you haven't already given us a review, please jump in and let the world know what you think. So Bryan, when you and I were prepping for the call, you know, you were asking, you know, why should a realtor even want to have a meeting with a mortgage professional? What makes them unique? What makes them different? I know you've got some processes that you're going to walk through, but I do want to set the table with just 2 minutes of why a realtor would want to meet with a mortgage coach in a way that's unique from the average loan officer. And Sean, feel free to jump in.
Thank you.
So, Bryan, you know, the average loan officer, when they're quoting rates and fees, or they're helping a family who's getting ready to buy homes, you know, here's your different monthly payments. This is what they get. It's a transactional fee worksheet that shows the transactional cost of getting a loan. It shows the monthly payment, shows all the details. In Mortgage Coach, we believe that if you give a family options, you do it with graphs and charts. It's on a mobile device. The loan officer can stream video into it so that they can have a more personal and dynamic educational experience. Think of it as kind of an edu-tech experience. It's better. So like this is a first-time home buyer looking at her rent versus own analysis in a Pete's coffee shop. That's better. And if you're a realtor and you've had any experience taking first-time home buyers out in your car looking at homes, you know it's like herding cats. So Mortgage Coach would help the first-time home buyer kind of net out rent versus own, really understand the financial benefits. And so from a realtor's perspective, the loan officer who's a mortgage coach could create a better sense of urgency, and it's just going to be an overall better service experience. You get that, Bryan? Any questions on that?
Yeah, I get this.
Sean, anything you want to add to the?
Yeah, for me, just Bryan, same thing. I've been in mortgage for 15 years. I started using Mortgage Coach about 3 years ago, and it's really, I believe we present. We don't sell anything. We're presenters, and this tool just makes it very easy to set yourself apart from anyone else who's just still doing the old paper route.
Yeah, so I mean, just a couple photos, Bryan, and we'll hand it off for your process. But at the end of the day, the Mortgage Coach loan officer can deliver a better sales conversion experience, which means, you know, the realtor is more likely to get the business themselves. The realtor is more likely to have, you know, a time-saving, efficient experience. And then, like in the case of open houses, this is a picture of one of Sean's. It's a better way to capture leads. So at the end of the day, the mortgage coach loan officer can really, it's not just talk. They can say, I'm going to help you get more leads. I'm going to help you improve conversion rates. I'm going to help you create urgency. There's just a lot of sales drivers that a mortgage coach loan officer can deliver for a realtor that a typical loan officer can't do. And like Dave Ramsey said it best when I interviewed him last year, always start by going into the family's goals and then use the total cost analysis to show them how to hit their goals. So Bryan, I just wanted to set the table with that. Everybody on this call as a mortgage coach, we want to make this super interactive, and we want to make it very relevant to you. So Bryan is going to, a couple times throughout the call, to ask you to send us emails, ask you to engage in the GoToMeeting webinar environment so that we can just really nail it for you. Before I bring Bryan in, who Bryan is to me is, my job to grow a mortgage coach is to get meetings with the C-suite of large lenders. So myself and our sales team, we're always trying to get meetings with the CEO, the head of production, senior people within a mortgage company. And Bryan is an expert. I mean, I'll let him tell you all the different places he's spoken. But we, at the mortgage coach team, we read his articles. We're always learning for him and say, hey, how can we get more meetings? And one of the things that makes Bryan unique is he's an expert. I think he's probably the nation's leading expert at using email and messaging to get those meetings. So, kind of typical old school way of getting meetings is just cold calling, leaving messages, getting referrals, pound, pound, pound. And so Bryan is an expert at that in the technology industry, in the service industry, and I thought, who better than Bryan to come into the mortgage coach community and show us how to get meetings with realtors, financial advisors, heads of HR departments that could do employee benefits program. I interviewed Bryan, this will be the third time. The last interview, that interview has been watched almost 1,600 times. I don't know if you knew that, Bryan, but the mortgage coach community really loves your strategies and ideas. So today I thought, it might be a little bit of a review. So anybody that has heard Bryan before or watched that video, we're just going to remind you about some things. But, it's 2016, and we've gotten smarter at Mortgage Coach. Bryan, I'm sure you've figured out some new strategies. So I'm gonna hand it off to you, and I know you've got some ideas to share. You might want to give a little bit about your backstory for anybody who hasn't heard you speak before. But let's get started.
Great. So we're going to make this interactive, and I want to make sure everyone can see my screen. So let's go into presenter view or slideshow. All right, so just in the questions area, just write that you can see my screen, you can hear me. Let's see. All right, Dana, got it. Everybody can see it. You can hear and see. All right, so I mean, you guys are a little bit of a different audience, different listener. So I kind of want to get an idea of what you guys are dealing with, when it comes to email, cold calling, leads, like whatever it is. So just write down like what is frustrating you right now when it comes to leads or meetings, and so what's frustrating and what do you want? So I want to get an idea of what it is you're looking for. So I have an idea and can actually speak to this and just make this much more relevant for you. So what's frustrating you? And when it comes to go ahead.
Oh, Bryan, I just wanted to push everybody. So folks, I mean, I could see everybody immediately responded to Bryan. I can hear you, I can see you. But this could literally be one of the best mortgage coach calls you've ever been on if you interact. So when it comes to getting meetings with realtors, what's your challenge? What's the pain point? Make sure you collaborate and answer these questions. I see a number of you doing it, but I think there's a whole lot more of you that could be doing it. So let's rock. Continue, Bryan.
All right. So so Mark is saying, giving agents a sense of urgency. Less. I don't like realtors historically. Have to change my direction. Anita, how to drop the realtor's guards down. I want an intention grabber, something different from Randy. Dana, creating enough value, scheduling the appointment so the agent actually shows and doesn't cancel at the last minute. Not getting a return email. How do I become a flower, not the bee, from Mark. I like that. Ed, how to get appointments without having to make a cold calls. Martha, not enough leads from any source. Bill, getting them to set a time to meet. Jesus, lack of response from email. Let's see, I'm just reading. Leaving messages, no response. Agents say they get too many emails and just delete them. Want an email that grabs a realtor and makes them want to respond to my email. All right, perfect. All right, so you guys are essentially dealing with everything every other salesperson in the country is dealing with. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to see your emails. So we're going to make this, Dave, you know, we have, I think, one email from you guys. So send me an email right now. It's Bryan@breakthroughemail.com. I want to see what you guys are sending. And what we're going to do is we're going to just make this a working session, like a workshop. So, you know, you guys come out of this and you're changing your emails. You have emails that you can send, and you understand like what actually you have to write and say to get people interested in what you offer. I love the you want to be the flower versus the bee. But send me your email. Send me just something you've sent somebody recently, typically some sort of cold email, some sort of initial, or maybe it was a follow-up after your voicemail. And if you want to include Dave, Dave, is just Dave at themortgagecoach.com or mortgagecoach.com?
Yeah, so folks, one, if you forgot, I put a link to that in chat. So Brian's email is there, and so is mine, dave@mortgagecoach.com. Just CC me, so I'm in the loop, but, you know, let's rock.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of walk you through what I learned sending and writing 15,000 emails. So I spent about 7 years, and I was calling on executives in Fortune 500 companies. You know, they had, say, $500 million in sales, and my job was to generate leads. So I'd cold call every day, I'd send emails, and every day I went to the office, it was like, how can I do something, you know, that makes more sense? How can I improve this? There has to be a better way. And so I'm just going to walk through how you can actually construct emails that actually get people to respond. And, you know, as we kind of go through it, it's going to make a lot of sense to you. It's not going to be rocket science, because my methodology and framework is I want to make this as simple as possible for you, and I want to simplify, you know, everything. All right, good. So I'm getting some emails. I got an email from Diane and Fred and Jared. So keep sending your emails to me, just Bryan@breakthroughemail.com. Sorry, that's my little guy. So here is an email that you can send right away. And this is an email, I want you guys to have some actionable takeaways. This is an email that you can send to anybody that stopped responding. And this email is called the permission to close your file email. And what this does is it gets, you know, so normally, you know, sending emails is kind of like dating. So, you know, you keep, you know, calling the girl, leaving her messages. And at some point, like, you got to get the hint. She's just not interested. So this is the email that you send to anybody who's in your pipeline, anybody who you've had conversations with, anybody who was a buyer or potential buyer who stopped responding. You know, and so here's what you do. I'm writing to follow up on my email and voicemail. We're in the process of closing files for the month. Now, that first sentence, it's, you know, whatever has happened, you know, so you want to personalize the email based on, like, what's happened in the past. We're in the process of closing files for the month. This could be anything. You know, we're in the process of closing files for the month, for the quarter, or you could say, like, you know, listen, I had a meeting with my boss about your account, or, you know, about your company. He asked for an update. I told him I didn't have one. That is a great strategy, because people are much more likely to help you if you're helping somebody else versus if they're just helping you to help you. I don't know why that works, but it does. Typically, when I haven't heard back from someone, it means they're either really busy or they aren't interested. I know that people are busy. What I'm doing is I'm giving them the permission for it to be okay to not respond to you, because most likely, you know, you've called them a couple times, you've emailed them a couple times, and they still haven't responded. So what we want to do is we want to reverse that. Like, hey, listen, since it's over, you know, can you respond, can I close your file, or whatever. If you aren't interested, do I have permission to close your file? If you are still interested, what do you recommend as the next step? So what this does is it gets the people who never respond to your emails. These are people like in your pipeline, or the people that, you know, you sent some sort of, you know, Dave, I don't know if it's considered a proposal or something. You know, you're just sending, you're quoting the, you know, quoting this to the home buyers, or, you know, you met with a realtor, they ask for information, and then now you're following up and you can't get them to respond. But this is just a great email to send. So definitely write this down. I got a lot of emails. Go ahead.
So folks and Brian, there's really, I see two great use cases, and Sean, feel free to add. One, for a home buyer that you provided a pre-qual that's gone cold. You know, this is a great kind of last chance. I'm getting ready to close your file after they haven't returned 2 emails. And then, of course, the realtor that you've just been stalking, you know, that you've stalked for the month, or the financial planner, or the head of HR for a company that's like a dream company for you to work with. You know, so there's really, I think, 2 use cases in our space, Brian. Sean, anything you would add to that?
I'd also say refinances. If you're constantly following up with someone and they're not getting back to you, it's like, I don't want to keep pulling up rates. Let me know if you want to do this or not. So this is killer. And one thing I wanted to point out with this is what I think we do for a living is 4th grade math and psychology. And this slide we're looking at just breaks down the psychology of the email, which I love.
Yeah, it's all psychology. I mean, like I look at sales, the top sales people in the world, and like they're the best therapists in the world. Like, you know, come sit in my chair, tell me, you know, tell me what the problem is, and, you know, and then they become like a doctor, like, you know, like, hey, here's my solution based on all your problems and issues. But, you know, you need people to, if you want to influence people, you have to understand the psychology, and we're going to get into that, like what actually gets people to respond, you know, over email, and like what's the psychology to use. So let's see, all right, so phone usage is down. You know, the average American talks 25 minutes a day. Germans talk 3 minutes a day. Now this is, you know, for the HubSpot, these stats, average salesperson makes 62 dials, 18 dials with a buyer, 1% callback rate. That is more of a corporate, you know, structure, like going into, say, you know, companies with 100 employees, whatever it is. But the cold calling is just not working as well as it used to. Large organizations are having a shift, and I think it's important to just understand the trends. Coca-Cola and JP Morgan Chase actually shut down voicemail for their employees. So if I go and work at Coca-Cola or JP Morgan, you know, you get a business card, you get, you know, a phone number, you get email. There is no voicemail associated, you know, to working at those companies. So the market is shifting. There's lots of different email systems that you can use, and I believe, Dave, you have it, you know, an email system as well. But there's all sorts of salesperson email systems. It's not MailChimp, it's not Constant Contact, which are email marketing systems. There's been about $150 million in VC funding over the last couple of years into these different systems. So they'll automate all the follow-up for you, so you don't have to follow up. And you can like see the performance of like which email templates are working better, which email templates are not working, and there's some cool, slick things, you know, that are happening, you know, in this space. So check those out. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. So, you know, for Mortgage Coach members, those are great CRMs, and you guys know how I feel. I mean, people ask me what's the best CRM, and I always just say the one you use. You know, we integrate with Jungo, Velma, Velocify, and we've got a number of other great CRMs on deck coming to market. But I just want to remind everybody, coming out of this, you're going to get some great strategies. I mean, you've already gotten one great email. You know, the key is to create a template in whatever you're using today and to just use it. You know, so I know I've already seen some questions saying, oh, what CRM should I use? You know, it's just use the one you have and get better as you go. So, you know, we've already got one template that we want to create. Sean, let's you and I kind of, what is the action list at the end of the call?
Okay.
Here's the templates that we need to add. And Brian, feel free to add as we go. Hey, Brian, are you on mute? We're not hearing you.
Yep, I am on mute. My background, I would be begging executives to meet with me, like the director of marketing. You know, I sold advertising to large agencies. And what I found, really, one of the most important skills for any, I'm just going to say salesperson, like anyone who wants customers, and, you know, whether it's a mortgage professional, whether you're a CEO, like whatever, you know, however you self-identify. But I was, you know, trying to contact these directors of marketing, and what I found was I kept losing sales because they would delegate it down to the agency would vet it, I do an RFP, and I kept losing sales because they never presented what I was doing to the actual decision maker, which was the director of marketing. So if you have empathy, you think, okay, what is the person that I'm trying to contact think? You know, how do they feel? And the way I like to visualize it is, you know, I want to put myself in the mind and feel the feelings the other person on the other side, you know, of the desk feels. So if I'm writing an email to somebody, I literally close my eyes and I say, you know, what does this person care about? What's in their, you know, what's in their world? Like, what are the feelings that they have? What are they frustrated with? What do they want? What are they concerned about? And when I was going into these organizations, say the director of marketing, I would, you know, if I thought about the director of marketing, part of his job or her job is to do a good job for, you know, in the eyes of their boss, right? So I do a good job, but part of my job, if I want to get a raise, is to, you know, get the attaboys, you know, and cover my ass, frankly. So if I'm trying to reach, say, the director of marketing or anybody in any organization, any business that you're trying to reach out to, you realize that there's a corporate structure, corporate hierarchy. And what we do is we use the waterfall technique where I would contact and write multiple people at multiple layers, the CEO, the CMO, the VP of marketing, the director of marketing. I write to all of those people individually, separately, and they will delegate it down. So I would write to the CMO of, say, Pepsi, and they would delegate that to the VP of marketing. So my target could be the director of marketing, but now I have a meeting that nobody gets. And what you have to understand is there's at least 2,000 salespeople all contacting each one of these people on a daily basis, and they just don't respond to anybody. So you have to be, a rule of thumb for you is to be in the top 2% of all the email communication that they get. And if you're in the top 2%, you're going to get a response. If you're not in that top, you know, that top percentage, you're not going to get a response. But this works for any organization, whether it's, you know, a small, you know, real estate agency, you know, in your local town. There's always a hierarchy. You know, the person who manages or, you know, runs a group or whatever it may be. So always think in terms of, you know, all the people in the organization and have them, you know, define, you know, who you should be talking to. Now, what do you say? Email right now, there's 144 billion emails sent every day. In 2002, there was as many pieces of direct mail as there were emails. The average employee, the average person is getting 115 emails a day, and people are checking their email 288 times a day, which is just crazy. You know, like they're going all day long, every day, just checking their email. CEOs, executives are getting 700 to 800 emails, and my feeling is like if you can, it's like Tim Cook gets 700 to 800 emails a day. He's the CEO of Apple. He wakes up at 3:45 in the morning just to check his email. If you can optimize and write emails for the busiest people in the world, the most important people in the world, then sending it to anybody else should be a piece of cake. So I always like to start with the hardest, which was frankly my issue, and then, you know, work your way down. There's all kinds of people that are emailing executive CEOs to get funding. You know, high school dropout raises $17 million after cold emailing Mark Cuban. How I got a meeting with Bill Gates when I was a nobody. There are use cases, and what these people are doing is they're doing something different. So what I want to do now is I want to start looking at what people are actually sending. So we're just going to pull up my email, And since this is going to be much more interactive, all right. So can you guys see my, can you see my inbox? Dave, can you see it?
I can see it.
All right. Is it large enough, or should I increase the size?
I think it's good, Bob. I mean, it's always nice to have it bigger, but it's pretty solid. Sean?
Yeah, looks
Let's
good.
see.
Looks good.
Oh, I just lost it. Where's my inbox? View, just real quick. I'll zoom. All right.
Hey, by the
so,
way, guys, that you didn't CC me on, man. Put Sean and I in the loop so we could be in the hunt here every night.
all right. So, all right. Here's a sample email. Hi, Pam. Thank you for accepting my LinkedIn invitation. I know Long & Foster has an in-house lender, and I'm sure you already have a lender or two you work with. But in case you don't, or in case you're looking to add or replace someone you work with, I'd certainly love the opportunity to meet you and earn your business. Okay, let's get some feedback from the group. So give me some feedback on that first sentence. How do you guys feel about the, that first sentence? If you were to rate it on a 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being it really needs some help, how likely are you going to respond to that when you're in the middle of your day and you're a realtor and you're checking your phone? So let's just, kind of rate it. 10 being great. All right, David at an 8, Laura at a 2, John at a 4, Rick at a 2, Ed at 5, 2, 10, 1, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4. All right, so we'll just say 3 because there's a lot of 2s, a lot of 4s. The first thing when it comes to this email is it's difficult to read, right? So if it's difficult for me to say it, it's difficult for you to read. So it's difficult for the reader to read, and you have to imagine that you're reading it on an iPhone. The person, realtors are definitely going to be reading it. They're out and about, so you got to get to the point quickly. And at this point, you haven't really given me any kind of opportunity. You haven't created any opportunity. There's 2 things that an email needs, and write this down. This is like if I distilled everything I know into an email or into the communication, what the communication has to have. It needs to be credible, and it needs to be an opportunity for the reader. So how people normally write is they write all about themselves. So let's go to the second sentence. So the idea here is like, hey, you probably work with somebody, and if you be open to talking, I'd love to meet you and earn your business. So right now we haven't really said anything to them. Please let me know if you have any interest in meeting for a cup of coffee sometime, and we can put something on the calendar. I hope you had a nice weekend, and Mother's Day if that's applicable to you. So the Mother's Day, I hope you had a nice weekend. Hey, I'm writing just to check in. To me, it always feels very forced, right? Like we don't know them, or like we're just trying to come up with some sort of angle. What we really need to do, and let's look at a couple more examples. Craig just says hi. Let's see. Karen, don't have an email. All right, this is from Jeffrey. Good afternoon. You and I have not met. I have been talking with Mike about the state of lending world for builders. While I'm not trying to replace a relationship you already have, okay, so that's a period. It needs to be a comma. I would like to help you get. I would like to help with getting homes financed. Please let me know a good time for us to meet. Thanks in advance. Have a great day. Okay, so at that point, I'm talking to somebody. I don't want to take a relationship away, but I really do. Please let me know if we can talk. No opportunity yet. Alan, that's actually my brother's name. This morning I received word from my closing department that the closing docs were to Veritas Title for Friday's closing. It's been my pleasure working with you to help your clients achieve their goals associated with selling this property. I look forward to having the opportunity to discuss with you how we could work together to create a plan that helps you to grow your business. and to achieve your goals and aspirations. So this one, I'm not sure what the outcome is. Like, do we have a question, or are we just keeping them in the loop? So if you have a question, or if you want to talk to them, just ask them, like, listen, I'd love the opportunity. Go ahead.
Oh, well, we lost you for just a second, just FYI, but you're back. Hey, I do want to weigh in on one just perspective I've had, because I've looked at a lot of emails from loan officers, and I love your perspective. You know, one theme I constantly see is they're trying to, like, within the email, it's not just get the meeting, they're trying to sell them on doing business with them. And so, I don't know, one theme I'm seeing is that, you know, it's almost like they're not saying enough of why to take the meeting, but yet they're also saying too much because they're like trying to get to the point too much. What is your thought on that, at least as you've seen these messages and as you've reviewed messages in the past? Do you think people try to do that a lot?
All right, so that's a perfect segue. Well, so if I would just go into, say, the slideshow, the reality is that people just don't care about us. Right? Right now, we're not saying anything in the emails. Right? We're talking about the state of, you know, hey, we don't know you, and, you know, would you be open to talking to us, or meeting with us? The reality is, most people write from the perspective of, like, let me tell you about me. Most of the emails I'm seeing, they're not even really saying anything about, you know, your services or what you do, and what you need to do is you need to write to them about what's in it for them. So it's great to ask for the meeting. It's fine to say, I don't know you, but, like, tell me something. Like, why should I meet with you? I'm busy. You know, like, how are you going to move my needle? And if you haven't figured that out, I would expect you to do the legwork to understand, like, what is it, you know, that's in it for the other person. So this actually would be a good exercise, and we'll see because we have, you know, several hundred people on the line. What's in it for the other person? So, like, let's just think of, say, the realtor, and come up with everything that everybody can brainstorm on right now. So and then we can share it, which would be great. There was like a study done that, like, 12 people together are smarter than any genius, you know, in the world. So what's in it for the realtor? What are all the benefits? What's the opportunity what's the opportunity for the realtor? And let's brainstorm that. And that's something that we could actually put together, or Dave could put together, you know, after the fact, and share with everybody, because that's the missing ingredient. Right now, there's no opportunity in the emails that we're looking at. So just take a minute, and let's just see what people are writing. Okay, so this is from Maria. Quick closing, you get paid faster. Never miss a closing, from Anne. Will. Sell one more house per year. That's Anne. I mean, if you're a realtor, you know, obviously you're going to care about that. How can I make them money? Adam, work smarter, not harder. So Bill is saying the unique selling proposition, but, like, so let's not even talk about the unique selling proposition. Here's my problem with the unique selling proposition. It's coming from the salesperson's perspective. All we want to do is identify what the reader cares about. Because if you can help the reader with what they care about, so what is it they want, what is it they're frustrated with, what is it they're concerned about, if we can, let's see, Jeff, help them close more deals. Laura says education. This is from Cynthia, help save transactions that fail at the last minute. Dana, I find that a lot of it is a consistent message about what makes you stand apart and hope that their current lending relationship is struggling. Okay, so and increase your income. Chris, close an additional 1 to 2 closings per month without any additional expense to you. Would you be interested in meet with me for 15 minutes? That's pretty good. Earn higher commissions with faster closings. one more house per month, not year, convert more leads to sales, higher conversion, I can bring you buyers from Steven. Okay, so now you guys are getting it. So let's think about, go ahead.
Hey, I did want to add some that Sean added because I thought they were solid.
Sure.
One of them is kind of duplicative, but I could help you improve your conversion with home buyers. I could help you create urgency with first-time home buyers. I could show you ways to increase your buyer's price point. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Well, no, now just a quick example of that is using Mortgage Coach, I showed a first-time buyer who wanted their rent to be their mortgage payment to be the same as their rent. I took them from a $300,000 max price point doing that up to $465,000. And obviously the realtors get paid on the sales price, so they were very excited about that. So that one is a new one for me.
Let's think about I love both those. Let's think about it from the perspective of the pain that the realtor has. So what is it that the realtor is frustrated with? Like, close your mind and really think about the realtors out there in the world, and day to day, like, what is it that they want, and what is it that they're frustrated with? So right now, before it's like, what do they want? Now let's talk about the opposite side of that. What is it that they're frustrated with? What is it that they don't want? Okay, this is Ed, missing the closing date. I need tire kickers. Mariah, lack of communication, wasting time. I'll babysit your customers so they don't have to. Lending delays. Now, I want you guys to take yourself out of it. So what I want to kind of get away from right now, take yourself out of the closing, and take yourself out of well, maybe the delays are okay, but just think of day to day, what is it that the real estate agent really wants or is frustrated with? They go to work, they probably don't even go to office. I don't know. Would they go to an office, Dave?
Yeah, but you're right. I think, this is Sean, sorry. They do go to the office, but for the most part, everyone's living on their phones.
Yeah, they're living on their phones. They probably have a listing or two out there that they care about. They're keeping their current, seller happy. They want to get, high value. They want to bring in buyers, and the closings to me is like, hey, don't F it up. Let's get this thing. It's more, to me, it would be more about certainty. But day to day, it's like, how do I find more buyers? How do I, how do I get more listings? How do I get high value listings? The frustrations would be why aren't all the listings closing? Why am I not getting all the commission checks? Why am I working so hard and at the end of the day the deal falls apart? So let's see what people are coming up with.
Hey, can I jump in real quick? Because I've interviewed a lot of realtors and many of the nation's top trainers. I actually spoke to Tom Ferry yesterday and Michael Mayer. And the busiest agents, the most successful agents, which, by the way, Mortgage Coach, to me, that's who you want the business from the most. The most rare commodity they have is time, and two, they want conversion. They have leads. They've got all kinds of leads coming in, so they want conversion, they want a better service experience, and they want you to save them time in the process. And then, almost every realtor does want more leads, but I would say that, call it the mid-tier to low-tier realtors, leads is their number one issue. But conversion is the biggest value prop that you can bring to a top hitter agent. If you can actually say, I'll improve your conversion rate and save you time, and then you can actually show them how you can do it, and you can actually deliver on better conversion and a more efficient relationship, that's unique and valuable. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
What do you think they're most frustrated with?
With the lender or just generally in their business?
Generally in their business.
There's a saying in real estate, there's two types of real estate deals with problems and deals with solved problems. So, they live in a world of chaos where they're solving problems all day, every day, and quite frankly, they're frustrated with everybody. I mean, the buyers, just things coming up, and they're in problem-solving mode all day long. And the last thing they want.
Wait. I'm going to stop you. What are they frustrated with their buyers? What are they frustrated about?
The things are constantly changing. I think you hear one thing and then another happens, and we on our end we deal with the same things with the buyers. But really, I think they are looking, like Dave said, they want a better experience. They want their time freed up so they can go generate more business instead of focusing on solving the problems of the business they have. And what I think we can do for them is be their teammate.
Hold on. See, I want to stay away from what we can do for them. Because when you're reaching out to somebody, it's like it's like dating. All we're asking for is their number. All we're asking the girl for is like, hey, would you like to go out for a drink sometime? What we're not doing is we're not saying like, hey, let's go away for the weekend, or can I introduce you to my mom? We just want that initial idea. Now, when you get the meeting, you can go into how you can help them, but really for the email, you don't even really have to describe how you're going to work, how you're going to help them, or what you're going to do. All you have to do is be better at describing how they feel. So I want you to imagine this image and just close your eyes. So like the best copywriters in the world say, I want to meet them in their mind based on the question that they're having. So like if I were to interview my customers, like how do I get people interested in what we offer? What subject line do I use? Cold calling isn't working as well as it used to, and how can I grow my business and scale my business? That's the actual language that people will say to me because I've interviewed them like crazy. So if I were to write an email to, say, a business owner or somebody who is dealing, with these kinds of issues, I don't even have to really tell them what I do. It's like, hey, listen, I help clients who, need to get more customers interested in what they offer and get them to respond using subject lines that, get responses so you can grow and scale your business. It has nothing to do with me, everything to do with them and the conversation that they're having in their head. Now, what you're doing here, if we get down to like the psychology of it, is you're hanging a hook for them to, identify like, okay, this person is somebody who is, is going to help me based on the areas and things that are important to me. And then, and then you get a meeting, and then you talk about like what you do and how you do it and how you're different and why you're great, and you can understand all that. Let's see. Mariah said they're frustrated with the buyers are not proactive in getting docs needs. The buyers sometimes the reason for the delays. The quicker the buyer gets appropriate docs, the faster you can have a clear close. Absolutely. That's something that they're frustrated with. Too many lenders try to solve problems that doesn't even exist for the agent because they don't have enough time learning about the agent's business before making contact. They're short on time. People like wasting time. They're frustrated that they're wasting time. That's a very common theme. Let's see.
Right.
How do you actually?
Actually, my wife used to be a realtor, and there's a quote that I've heard realtors say a lot. That buyers are liars because they don't really know what they want. They tell you what they want, and then next thing you know, what they told you they want wasn't even what they wanted. So just something to consider when we're trying to, find what problems they have, whether we solve them or not, but really relate to them. A thought I just thought I would share. Continue.
What do you mean buyers are liars?
So lots of times when a realtor will meet with a home buyer saying, what do you want? The home buyer will tell them all the things that they want, but then by the time that they take them out and look at homes, what they said they wanted and what they actually end up making an offer on, they're not the same. So they don't, when it comes to buying a home buyers, they don't always know what they want. And so realtors kind of feel like, hey, I've got to ask some questions, I've got to listen, but then I've really got to be kind of anticipating on what you really want, because that's, I hope I'm describing that right. And Sean's nodding his head, so he's agreeing with me. Do you get where I'm coming?
Like, yeah, there's a lot of things that happen, right? Like you're the person's educating them on their decision criteria, right? So like they don't know what's important to them, right? Versus like at the end of the day, if I were to buy a place, it's like, well, what schools, what can I really afford? How does it feel when I walk in? What's the neighborhood look like? Versus the initial discussion, which is like, I want 3 bedrooms and 2 baths and in these areas. I think that people, if you ask them the right questions, at least in that moment, that you can find out like the true story. I don't think that I don't think that they're going to tell you the whole story, and that's where like your line of questioning really is important, right? So like, say you go to your therapist, and the first time you meet them, you're like, well, how's everything going? Well, I just, it could be better. I'm just not really fulfilled, and I felt like I needed to talk to somebody. So you're like barely telling them anything. By the 3rd or 4th meeting, it's like, oh, well, let me tell you what my wife said when we had this conversation, and my mom never, held me as a baby, and my dad, like, I had to be this amazing, athlete for him to love me, and you start crying, you really open up. To me as a salesperson, it's all about getting the person to really open up. And if you imagine like an iceberg, the top of the iceberg is what they'll tell you, but underneath is like the core to everything. And underneath it's like, well, why is that important to you? Like, what about that? Like, why, like there's like the 7 whys or the 5 whys. You just keep asking, like, why? And that makes all the difference, especially when it comes to communication. We don't go off of the surface. It's like, well, why do you want more leads? Well, because I want to make more money. Well, why do you want to make more money? Well, so I can have more freedom. Why do you want to have more freedom? Well, I want to be able to go to my kid's soccer game. So I want more leads is really like I want to spend more time with my kids and go to their soccer game. If you just go down a couple quick layers. When I look at influence, if I want to influence somebody, it really comes down to the frustration. If I were to pick anything, I would, and if I were to ask anybody, just one question, it's like, what are you frustrated with? Because frustration is an issue you've had over time, and people are much more likely to move away from pain than they are to go to pleasure. It's like, hey, do you want more leads? Sure. But like, are you frustrated that cold calling isn't working, or just wasting all this time, sending all these emails and it's not working, and you need like more business? I'm zeroing in on the frustrations, and then I'm going to say concerns, and then desire. So I just ask them, what do you want? So one of the things that I recommend for anybody to do is you interview your target. So like we can come up with some great stuff, but rather than us try and figure this out, since we're writing to somebody else, let's go to those people and just ask them. And we want to ask them 3, in our system we have 15 questions, but the 3 most important questions are, hey, before we ever spoke, what was it that was frustrating you? Before we ever spoke, what was it you were concerned about? Before we ever spoke, what was it that you wanted? And in the way that I look at the communication here is there's 3 units of time. There's the before unit, there's the during unit, and there's the after unit. So primarily what we're talking about is the before unit. This could be on your website, this could be your initial email communication. You've never done, you've never worked with them in the past. During unit is like while you're working together, you have a relationship, they're sending you business. After the unit could be like you've done the work and you're no longer working with them. When most people are interviewing folks or asking questions, they ask them from the during or after unit. Hey, tell me about, like, why you like to work with me. Well, you're really responsive, the communication's great, and you just make my life easier. Now, a new real estate agent isn't going to respond to that because that's not the frustration or like what it is that they're dealing with at the moment. And we want to meet them in the mind based on the conversation they're already having. So if we think about, like, say, dating before unit, like you haven't even walked up to the girl at the bar. Right? She's with her friends, she's talking, they just went out, like, you don't know what's going on. The during unit is you're dating, after unit is, you're married or you're divorced or, like, whatever it is. So in the communication, before is the critical thing. Before they ever spoke to you, before they ever talked to you, before, like, whatever it is. And we need to understand from the real estate agent's perspective, or whoever your target is, maybe it is a new home buyer. Like, what is it they're frustrated with? What is it that they're concerned about? What is it that they want? And that's what you need to be, because those are the people that are going to say, yes, I'll go out on a date with you, or I'll have a cup of coffee, or whatever it may be. Dave, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, a couple things, because we're running into the last 8 minutes of the call. And sure. I think you nailed things at a really high level. I know on, like, your slides 23 through 26, where I'd like to make sure we showed them some examples of what not to do. I want to make sure we kind of give them some ideas of what to do. And then, okay. I think we'll want to get you rescheduled for another call. And I also highly recommend people engage with you through your platform and get trained on how to write better emails. So let's make sure, we have time at the end for everybody to know how to get a hold of you. And two, if you could just walk through some best practice examples so they could kind of go through the before and after from your perspective on great emails. Yeah. So this is an email to McDonald's. And the most important thing here is understanding the principles behind why it worked, not necessarily like what the template is. So I break down this email into 3 different sections. So the first is your purpose. And if you think about anybody who's going to read an email, in the first 3 seconds, they're going to decide one of 3 things. Do I read it? Do I delete it? Or do I do nothing? So, and if you think about, like, what the person is thinking, or the information they have the subject line, they have the name of the sender, or potentially the email address of the person, and then they have the preview pane. So most people really miss the preview pane, and they focus on the subject line. Now, the subject line, my rule of thumb, because we want to create credibility, we want to create trust, is for the subject line to be the subject of the email. In the case of writing a large organization, it was appropriate person. Who's the appropriate person for me to contact, because I don't know if I'm going into a large organization. If I go into a large real estate agent office, I don't know who the right person is. And I'm using the waterfall technique to be delegated down. I'm writing hopes to find the appropriate person who handles blank, who handles say I don't know what the context would be for you guys. But I also wrote to these other people in that pursuit. If it makes sense to talk, let me know how your calendar looks. So I'm getting really clear on what the purpose is, and then I'm creating an opportunity. VoodooBox helps restaurants increase sales and revenue. So, we help real estate agents save time and convert more of the, buyers that they talk to. I don't know what it is, but it's communicated from the perspective of the person that you're writing to, and what is it they're frustrated with, what is it they want, and something that, like, you can't even say no to. Now, in the communication, there's something called the peak end hypothesis. So what that says is people remember the first thing and the last thing that you say. So the other thing that you need to do is create credibility. Who else have you worked with? What number agent are you, in the country? Like, why should they meet you and and spend the time? Because they're really asking themselves, like, is this going to be worth my time? That is, do they understand it?
And, is it an opportunity, and is it going to be worth my time? So it's the same thing in dating. Like, is it going to be worth my time going out with this person? And then at the end, you're asked. So if you're the appropriate person to speak with, what does your calendar look like? If not, whom do you recommend I talk to? Word choice matters. So like if I ask you how your schedule is, or do you have 15 minutes for a cup of coffee, your schedule is busy, your calendar is potentially open, because your calendar you think in weeks and months, your schedule you think in hours and days, and to-do lists. And so, my schedule is busy, but in 3 weeks I could meet with you. Now, the idea of talk or coffee or meet or call or whatever, all you want them to be open to is just the idea of talking to you, right? Like, what is just, all you want is the idea of having a conversation with you. You don't have to decide what it's going to be. I personally don't like to discount the value of my meeting by saying it's going to be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I don't even decide that in the first email. Like, hey, would you be open to the idea of going on a date with me? Would you like to get a drink sometime? Or would you like to go out sometime? If you have a drink, maybe they don't drink alcohol. Like, if this is just a dating example versus would you like to go out sometime? Like, we haven't decided what that's going to be, but are you open? What this is just a micro commitment. So that is incredibly important. Whatever it is you're doing or communicating, the key is just the empathy. It's to creating the opportunity. And just in recap, you want to identify high-value customers who need what you have. We didn't really go into that, but Dave was kind of mentioning that a couple times as far as looking for top producers, so the top producers can send you much more business. You want to interview your current customers to identify the fears, frustrations, and desires they had before they ever spoke to you. So any real estate agents that you work with now, ask them, and this is one of the first steps I have people, when they go through our system, is they go out, they interview their current clients or partners or whatever, however you want to refer to it, and you understand, like, what was it that they were dealing with before they ever worked with you? Like, what was it that they were dealing with in their life that they were open to switching, or they're open to working with you, or how did the other person screw up? I don't know. Because I had 70,000 B2B salespeople from all different countries, all different languages, all different beliefs and values, and they had all different, products and services and different buyers. And like, how do I help them, find out the right communication? And it came from the interviews. And then finally, you need to create a credible opportunity for the reader, and so they know it's worth their time. If you want to go through our system and go through this and spend a couple weeks to do it, to go through the training, we go into this in much more detail, and at the end you're going to understand like how you can get people to think and feel and respond to your emails, and really grow your business. So you just go to breakthroughemail.com/pro, and that's how you do it. So and we just walk you through step by step by step. How do you actually write the email? How do you follow up with the people? And how do you continue to adjust your approach so you can you reach more people and get more qualified qualified partners, qualified buyers, and make more money.
So Bryan, I mean, you knocked it out of the park, folks. I did put links to those things that Bryan gave us in his email in chat. So this is the one that's breakthroughemail.com TNW. So make sure you connect. There's a number of key insights, and then this is his site, his email. So I mean, I really reached out to all Mortgage Coach members and urge you to drill down with Bryan. I mean, learn his systems. If you are, please keep me in the loop, because as I interview Bryan again in the future, I would love to, I've got Sean on here. I would love to bring some Mortgage Coach members that have worked with Sean to improve their messaging. And by the way, we got some great stuff here. It's not just about writing emails. It's, this was a great takeaway. Do you have time to talk? And calendar. So often I hear people ask for a meeting, and it's like, they're just saying too much. You know, I want you to come to my office, or I'm going to come to your office. Just, you know, close them on time to talk. And then this whole concept of really defining the opportunity. I would love for every mortgage coach on this call that comes out of today's training and works on your opportunity. I'd love to hear what your opportunities are. You know, what are you presenting? How are you presenting opportunities to real estate agents? I mean, Bryan, you knocked it out of the park. I mean, the first 15 minutes of the call, this, you know, concept of sending a last chance email and then actually giving us some very practical as, you know, think of the buyers that have gone cold on you. Think of the, you know, Sean said refi candidates that have gone cold on you. Think of the realtors that you know you want to have meetings with that have gone cold on you. I do recommend that first refine your offer, you know, because I just know I've seen enough loan officer emails to know that we can do better. So first, get better at defining your offer and your opportunity. But then if they've gone cold on you and not responding, you know, send them the last chance message. So, Bryan, you said a lot of really smart things. I do want to summarize a couple of them. Sean and I really like this one. You need to be the top 2% of all the email a decision maker gets. So think about it, every loan officer on this call. Are you the top 2% of emails that realtor is getting? If not, get there quick. Every email needs to be credible, and it needs to be an opportunity for the reader. I mean, really powerful statement, Bryan. You know, I want to meet people in their mind about what they're thinking. So, I mean, to me, that was, you know, we were all going with trying to just get to, I'm a loan officer and I'm here to help you in a loan officer way. And Bryan, you kind of made a great point. Stop. You just want to get a meeting with them. We don't necessarily need to sell them about what we do. We need to meet them with where they're at first. So,
and let me, so I want to meet people in their mind based on the conversation they're having in their head. So it's like based on the conversation you're having in your head, right? So it's thinking, and then it's a step further. So like if I were to meet people in their, like everyone's mind in the beginning of this call, you know, what are you frustrated with? You know, the conversation that's going on in people in their head. You know, it's like, how do I give agents a sense of urgency? You know, I don't like realtors historically. I have to, you know, change my direction. How do I get realtors to drop their, you know, attention, their guard down? How do I create enough value so I can schedule the appointment so the agent shows and doesn't cancel at the last minute? So if I wanted to connect with you based on the conversation that you're having in your head, right, like really quickly, it's like, you know, how do I create enough value scheduling the appointment so the agent actually shows up and doesn't cancel at the last minute, right? If I wrote an email to that person, it's like, oh my gosh, that person's writing exactly, you know, what I'm thinking and feeling. What is this all about? And what you do is as you get multiple people all saying the same thing, or you start to see the correlations and the things that people are saying over and over again, you look for that. You know, I'm like, okay, and I call this the deep sea fishing technique. And so I'm going for 3 to 5 of the conversations that they're having in their head. I don't know which one's going to be, but if I can get like my best 3 to 5 over, then, you know, then I have a real opportunity to get them to respond. And if I don't, then I just move on.
no,
So
love it.
And I love that you're doing this, the kind of the recap.
Well, it's been a fantastic call. I know, guys, we've been a few minutes over. I do want to remind everybody that I'm interviewing Tim Bryan, and actually I know we have Jeremy Forcier on that call next week. We have Danny with the Gaylord Hansen team. You know, 2 of the top 100 loan officers in America on the call with myself and Tim Bryan, and we're going to just be drilling down on winning scripts. So we're going to have 2 of the top loan officers in the country. We're going to be harvesting mortgage coach scripts. Don't miss next call at 9 o'clock Pacific. Sean, anything that you want to ask before we wrap this up or anything you want to say?
Just one thing that kind of, for everyone that's on the call, I think the thing that Bryan hit on for me is we all, especially being mortgage coaches, we all know we have great solutions for realtors, we're offering solutions before we've even asked what the problem is. So, and we all know that we're basically writing the same message when reaching out to realtors. So my takeaway from this is solutions come at the meeting. I just want to know what your frustrations are. That's the biggest thing I got out of this. So thank you, Bryan.
Bryan, any last
Yeah.
words before we say goodbye?
No, listen, I love everyone who is looking for, for input and looking to see what works, and if people want to, really go deeper and really understand, how to get people and just create a lot more predictability in the process, how to get, more meetings, more leads, that's what we're in the business for. Because I frankly struggled for years and years, and most of the advice I got from salespeople was all from the perspective of how, from their perspective, how do I sell more? How do I sell more? What do I do? And it didn't take the perspective of the customer, which is, what does the customer want? How do they think and feel? And, how should I adjust my approach based on them? So anybody who wants to, go on, continue, and just really thankful to be here and to join you guys.
Beautiful. So thank you, Bryan. My last words of wisdom for everybody on this call. Remember, there is no magic bullet. There's no one email that you can rely on to get a meeting. Getting a meeting is a campaign. It's a series of emails. It's a series of conversations. It's a series of voicemails sometimes. Hopefully everybody on this call is going to improve their messaging. And let's also remember, we live in a world where it's not just about email. I mean, Facebook Messenger is trending. LinkedIn Messenger is trending. Bryan, I know we're over time, but really quick, any wisdom or perspective about using, Facebook, LinkedIn as a campaign with email to drive a meeting? Any quick thoughts on that? Bryan, you might be on mute. All right. Well, I think we have delivered a lot of value today. Hopefully it was a great call for everybody. Have a great day and take care. Oh, also, just as you leave, I am going to push a poll. Let us know what you thought of today's call on a scale of good to great. As you exit the call, let us know what you thought of today's call. Take care, everybody.